Life on the hulks. Before convicts were transported, they were imprisoned in the hulks of old warships. These ships were moored in the Thames estuary or Plymouth harbour. The conditions on board these ships were terrible. There was little to no hygiene, and the diseases that were present spread quickly. Those who became sick were given no medical attention, and they were separated from those who were healthy. Death and disease. From 1776 to 1795, approximately 2,000 convicts out of the original 6,000 convicts serving their sentence died on board the hulks. Typhoid fever and cholera were the main diseases that were present during these times. Did you know? A hulk is also known as a prison ship. These were often used to hold convicts awaiting transportation to a penal colony. Definitions. Typhoid disease. A bacterial infection due to food and or water becoming infected through direct fecal contamination or by germs carried on unclean hands. It causes high fevers, weakness, abdominal pain, constipation, and headaches. Cholera, an infection of the intestines. People get it from drinking water or eating foods that are contaminated with the type of bacteria called Vibrio cholera. It can cause diarrhea, vomiting, and dehydration. Fetters, a chain used to restrain prisoners, typically placed around the ankles. Stem, the most forward part of a boat or ship's bow. Breeches, an article of clothing covering the body from the waist down and separate coverings for each leg. With separate coverings for each leg, usually stopping just below the knee. A tough life. The living conditions on the hulks were very bad. It was incredibly cramped, and the prisoners slept in fetters. The convicts lived on decks where they weren't able to stand up straight, whereas the officers lived in cabins in the stem. If the convicts attempted to escape, they were flogged with the cat-o'-nine tails and were taken into solitary confinement in tiny cells. These were often called the black hole. Food. The authorities didn't want to spend too much on food for the convicts. They wanted to avoid giving the prisoners a better life than the poor had outside the hulks. Due to this, the quality of food was kept as low as possible. The food that the convicts were served consisted of ox cheek soup, oatmeal, cheese, bread, and biscuits. The biscuits they were served were often mouldy and green. To drink, each prisoner would be served 2 pints of beer 4 days a week. They would then receive very badly filtered water on the other days, which was drawn from the river. Clothing. Like everything, clothes cost money, and money was very important. The men who were in charge of the ships kept the money the government had given them to buy clothes for the prisoners. The men, therefore, were poorly dressed. They were supposed to wear a linen shirt, brown jacket, and a pair of breeches.